President Ruto must be called out. Is promoting corruption, yet in public meetings is declared war against corruption. Karl Marx said that religion is the opium of the poor. So the church collects money from poor Kenyans who are struggling with their daily needs. And then the church helps people who have stolen from the same Kenyans, to launder, to clean their proceeds of corruption and crime. So I'm joining my colleagues, and we allowed the Archdiocese of Nairobi for returning that board decision to return the money. And actually, we are also asking the Archdiocese to share public evidence that this money has actually been returned and received by Governor Sakaja and President Ruto. It's one thing to say it was returned, just the same way they issued a statement. We want them to show us either a bank statement, your deposit slip, or evidence that this money has actually been returned. President Ruto must be called out. Is promoting corruption, yet in public meetings is declared war against corruption. So, off and above calling other religious organizations to deplatform politicians, we are also asking patriotic Kenyans to stop enriching, particularly those churches that is preach water and take wine. In fact, the only way we can discipline such churches is to deplatform them. I think God listens to all of us individually. So we know why we have this mistake that is Kenya Kwanza administration is because it rode on the region. Now that things are happening and have gone south, it's incumbent upon Kenyans to come out and demand accountability, even from their religious leaders. So it's good gesture that the Catholic Church, the Archdiocese of Nairobi, under the leadership of His Grace, the Eminence Archbishop Banyoro, have refused the donations. That money, where does Ruto get 5 million from? Let me remind you, President Ruto earns less than 2 million every month. So in order for him to donate 5 million once, it means he has noted closely about 50% of his annual legal earnings. But we know it's easy to give to the church because nobody, would want to ask. They say you give to the church, you are giving to God. So church is being used to launder illicit finance monies. So it's a good thing that has happened, but we want to sustain it. And our call to fellow Kenyans, we are now all ears, we are woke. As we call government to account, let's also deplatform, especially those religious leaders that have joined the politicians to impoverish us.
I think we have to commend the church for taking the stand and saying that we are not going to receive this kind of funds. We would want all the other churches, both mainstream and evangelical churches, to pick the queue and continue rejecting funds that are brought to them and demanding that government does what government should do, which is serve their people and provide essential services. Thank you.
Maybe one quip on the same. Yes. We cannot continue as a country selling slavery to the Arab countries, whereas the church is receiving money which has been corrupted or has been acquired corruptly. This is why we are calling the churches to stop collecting funds which they even cannot account for their source, or they cannot account for where they have been received from. So it was a good precedent from the Catholic Church, and many others will follow suit. We have already seen, even in other mainstream churches, they have also come out strongly saying that they will not allow even the politicians to be allowed at the pulpit.
My appeal is to fellow Kenyans. Kenyans, the Constitution has given you power. The sovereign power belongs to the people. Please take back your power. If you're feeling it's not being equally and well represented by your elected leaders, you have the power. If whenever the government calls you to engage in public policy, in laws, in acts that it wants to pass, please appear. your voice is not silenced. Please make use of your voice. Fellow Kenyans, it's time. We appreciate and acknowledge what the church has done, because Kenyans in faith institutions are Kenyans. So we appreciate and we acknowledge what that has happened. And it's time Kenyans actually take the front row in ensuring that their rights are upheld, in ensuring they get quality services for the money and the tax that they are paying, which we are acknowledging is overtaxation. And it's time that we allow spaces and government allow and respect the rule of law, because we cannot be executing the power that the constitution that we all accepted and promulgated, and then that is being used against fellow Kenyans. As an example is what happened to the protest that happened since June. So we cannot be saying we are protecting the rule of law, and on the other hand, we are killing Kenyans, we are killing youths, we are silencing voices of fellow Kenyans who are standing up for their rights, their constitutional rights. So we cannot be taking water and drinking wine. That is not democracy. So fellow Kenyans, please ensure that you're part of the process, you're part of the discussion. There is nothing for you without you. And finally, to the president. My fellow colleague has mentioned that the faith institution was a key driver in bringing you to power. That same faith institution has lacked confidence in you. It's time to sit down and reflect and think on the best way forward to nurture and carry this nation. If a faith institution is bringing back the money, what does that mean? And the people around the president, please advise him well. I think people around him are lying to him. Things are not okay. Kenyans are overtaxed. Kenyans are tired. You need to sit down, reflect, and pray that things go well and that you drive this nation to the right direction.
The civil society in Nakuru, just like the leadership of the Catholic Church, are concerned that our government today appears to be keen to drift further from constitutionalism as opposed to ensuring that the constitution of a great republic is implemented. We are particularly concerned that the ongoing political bickering, both at the national and the county level, is clawing back the gains we may have registered for the last 14 years since we promulgated the Constitution of Kenya 2010. We are disturbed that political wrangles, particularly at the national level within the Kenya Kwanza coalition, are spiraling down and are cascading to communities. The fact that the presidency would not hold as robed in parliament, and in essence, government, Kenya today does not have parliament, because we have a parliament that dances to the tune of the presidency. So that's not a very good indicator for a country that is keen to promote democratic governance principles. We need a republic where the three organs of state are independent and are able to execute the independent mandates without interference from the other. Unfortunately for us today, the presidency, not even the executive holistically, the office of the president has usurped all the powers of all the three arms of government. What has ensued following the impeachment of the deputy president, Rigathi Gachagua, is something that worries us a lot. Number one, we have seen a trend where ethnic mobilization has taken center stage. We have seen the mountain that we used to symbolize a political standpoint is now taking an ethnic route. And Nakuru, and this region generally, historically, is known for volatility. And so we are worried that unless this mobilization is stopped at this point in time, it might degenerate to ethnic and tribal clashes akin to what we witnessed way back in 1992 and the worst form of it happening in 2007. So as a collective of civil society in Nakuru, we are calling upon first and foremost, the president to desist from, because everything we see happening in this country is happening around the person of the President of the Republic of Kenya. The presidency is a symbol of unity, and President Ruto must take center stage to call his churches to order and ensure politicians do not continue mobilizing Kenyans along ethnic lines. Number two, we are calling upon the National Cohesion and Integration Commission to execute its mandate and call to order all politicians. We want to start seeing prosecutions of leaders who are involved in the crime of hate speech, the crime of ethnic contempt, and mobilization. We want again to call on our local leaders, particularly the members of parliament from Nakuru County, to take center stage in efforts to unify all the ethnic communities that live in Nakuru. As we all know, Nakuru is the microcosm of Kenya, and whatever that happens in Nakuru would affect the entire republic. So we'll continue to monitor this, but more importantly, call to account, particularly those leaders that have taken to mobilizing and inciting ethnic hatred.
Rais wetu yuko katika daftari za historia kwa sababu juzi alikiri kwamba wale vijana walipotea, wengine wakauawa wakati wa maandamano, ni baadhi ya wale vijana ambao watanakiliwa na familia zao ziweze kufidiwa. Hatungependa hili jambo lipitilie tu mbali. Tungependa hili jambo liweze kuwekwa kwa mkazo na hizi familia zikaweza kulipwa, na wale ambao hawajapatikana waweze kuelezwa walienda wapi, kwa sababu tunajua hata inspekta mkuu wa polisi ametokea waziwazi kukiri kwamba kunao baadhi ya watu ambao wamepotea na hawajaweza kupatikana hadi wa leo. Kwa hivyo ni jambo ambalo tunaliongezea mkazo kwa yale ambayo yaliweza kujadiliwa na kuongelewa na maaskofu wetu.
Strongly concerned about how these taxes are being utilized. We are seeing those who are employed, especially the middle class, their pay slips have been raided in the name of collecting more taxes so that we can enhance service delivery. But the more we collect taxes, the more the essential services deteriorate. The quality of essential services continues to deteriorate. One of them is health. We have seen and we have visited our health facilities and seen the agony of people who are seeking to pass to health services. We have seen that Linda Mama is no longer operational, so our women are not able to deliver are not able to access skilled delivery services. We have also seen drugs in our facilities are lacking. So we are concerned that the more taxes citizens are paying, services continues to deteriorate. And today we would want to see government take initiative to address the gaps that we are seeing. We are concerned by the fast pace of implementing SHIF, moving from NHIF to SHIF. We are wondering, why is it that we have to transition all at once? Why haven't we tested this model to ensure that it works and that the transition is actually seamless and citizens are able to access services without any interruptions? We have seen dialysis patients dying because they are not able to access services. Today you're going there and you're being told that you have to part with 10,000 to access dialysis services. We feel that this is totally unfair, and our understanding is that the more taxes we pay, the more seamless, the more quality our services should be. We're also concerned about education. Right now, as we speak, our university lecturers are on strike. Our students in universities are not accessing education services. We have just seen the government introduce a new funding model that is to a high level unfair to students who could initially access higher education, and today they are not able to access that. So we would want government to move with speed to address the gaps in the funding model. If it is not working, why can't we revert to the previous model so that we can ensure that citizens continue to access services? It is so unfair for young people to be in school, not learning. Some of them are being told that now they were to graduate this year and they have to wait. until next year to complete their studies. So we would want government to move with speed, the speed that they moved with to impeach the deputy president. We would want them to move with speed to address issues that touch on Wanjiko, because these are government that we put in place. Citizens woke up in the morning to go and delegate their power, and they entrusted them to make certain decisions that would make their lives better. So we want to see, if taxes are being increased, we want to see a commensurate change, improvement in the quality of essential services that we receive.